It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
The Knicks have been a pleasant surprise this season. They're not near the bottom of the Eastern Conference, but closer to a playoff spot instead. While Julius Randle is in the midst of a career year, it is what they're doing as a team on the defensive end that has fueled their competitiveness. So let's look at what Tom Thibodeau has this Knicks team doing this season. The Raptors run a quick step-up screen going into the middle. This is typically a killer, since the big defender tends to be recovering, and there won't be a weak side defender to tag the roller. Check out how the Knicks combat this, with Bullock jabbing at the drive, while Randle stays in the paint to shadow the roller. This forces Lowry to drive deeper into the paint, and the Knicks stop the dump-off pass as well. This type of help defense was exactly what I talked about in my Tom Thibodeau hiring video. On the blow-by, both Barrett and Noel rotates over to stop the drive, and force the kick out. On the back cut, Robinson sags off Cantor to prevent a pass to the cutter. When the Blazers flow into a handoff and a rescreen, there is actually an opening for a pocket pass. Even if that happened, Randle has already rotated over in case of that option, and Barrett has sagged back to the free throw line as well. The Knicks contain the action and only give up a contested isolation jumper. Here's a handoff near the corner. See how Barrett rotated all the way from the opposite corner? This forces Bogdanovic to pick up the dribble, and Robinson recovers to Gobert. The kick-out leads to another swing pass, and Barrett sprints out to contest. The Cavs run a double screen, and look at Toppin sagging back to provide Payton the lane to get around the screen. Payton not falling behind is also the reason Robinson can stay with the Drummond slip. The Cavs reverses the ball, and flows into a handoff. Toppin does the same thing, and gives Rivers the space to get around the screen. When the Cavs reverses the ball again, and runs a pick and roll in the corner, Toppin and Barrett miscommunicates. Toppin is about to show on the screen, while Barrett started to ice and force the ball handler towards the baseline. This mistake didn't matter though, since their early rotation philosophy already has Payton in position to help. This forced the extra pass to the corner, and another contest on the triple. Now I can show a lot more of these early rotation examples, but I think you guys get the point. I like to call this early rotation the secondary help, or help the helper. This young Knicks team isn't perfect, and suffer from defensive lapses from time to time. No one picks up Graham coming down the floor, and they give up the open pull-up triple. After breaking up the post entry, Barrett falls asleep and opens up the lane for Hayward to cut in with a quick layup. These individual cases become problematic when it happens to a secondary help. On the double screen, Noel shows to prevent a pull-up. Also, he trusts someone will pick up the rolling Gobert, either Rivers here or one of the two weak side defenders. None of this happens, and Gobert rolls to the rim for the dunk. The lack of secondary help will lead to possessions like these. A quick drag screen allows middle penetration. Robinson doesn't help over in case of a dump-off or an alley-oop to Drummond, possibly because he doesn't trust the secondary help to bump the roller. Barrett swipes one pass away, but the offense still gets all the way to the rim. Interestingly, the Knicks got screwed by being too focused on the secondary help. Randle is prepared to help the helper, not knowing about the weak side switch. He doesn't even respond to his teammate, and the swing pass gets them out of position, and they had to foul. We'll see less of these mistakes as they garner more experience, but even with these defensive blunders, they're still fielding a top 10 defense. Of course, we'll have to address the elephant in the room, and that's their sustainability on the defensive end. The Knicks' defensive success is fueled by their opponent 3-point percentage, which is the best in the league right now. Dig a little deeper, they're giving up the third most threes that are considered wide open, but opponents are only making them at 31% clip. This is a result of their early rotation philosophy. Here's a screen into handoff by the Raptors, and Randle helps one pass away to stop penetration. A quick dish gets Anunoby a pretty good look on the wing, but just misses it. It's fair for analysts to expect opponents to start knocking down these shots, and this could be problematic for the Knicks moving forward, especially on this possession. Bullock rotates over from the opposite corner to force the extra pass. Now his path to contest is longer, and Osman knocks down the triple. With that said, the Knicks could still field a relatively good defense, even if their luck runs out. What the Knicks are struggling with is their tertiary help, or helping the secondary helper. On the pick and roll, Randle is containing the drive, and Robinson helps off his man to tag the roller. Payton got ahead of himself as well, since he's playing the passing lane, rather than running towards Baines to force the extra pass, which would give time for Robinson to recover. This isn't to say what Payton did was bad. It's actually Knicks level stuff, but it'll only be effective if he was in position to zone up the weak side earlier. I don't know if this is intended, but Payton does it again here. He's not splitting the difference on the weak side, but once Nance catches it, he plays the passing lane instead. One argument is that it eliminates chances of getting more out of position with another swing pass or drive, but they're practically giving up threes. So why not prevent both? Being in this position before the pass was made is the solution, similar to what I showed the Cavs been doing in my previous video. Here's a similar situation. The Hawks run a pick and pop, and Collins is wide open out on top. Randle is containing, and Robinson is right there as well if they do need any help. Barrett should be zoning up both Hunter and Collins right now. He is in quite a situation, since he can't cover 2 players across this distance. If he was closer to here, he could jab at Collins to buy time for Randle to recover, but also close enough to play the passing lane in case of a swing pass. None of that happens, and Collins gets a great look from deep. Better positioning will come with experience, since these are more read and react situations rather than a set defensive scheme. Plus, Thibodeau has managed to get players like Randle committed to rotating early, something Randle struggled for years, so tertiary help won't be a tall task. Another culprit to giving up open threes is just their effort and recovering on shooters. An early attack by Mitchell gets the defense to collapse. That's great, but the Knicks should know packing the paint will lead to kickouts. Barrett didn't get the memo and relaxed already. This wasted precious time to recover on the kickout, but they dodged a bullet on the missed triple. Just putting in the effort will allow the Knicks to eliminate wide open threes, even if they commit to their early rotations. Here's a quick pick and roll, and Toppin rotates early to bump the roller. On a swing pass, Toppin recovers back to his man. Noel does the same, and Knox steps into the paint just in case Noel couldn't get there in time. They finish with a nice contest to get the stop. On the blow-by, Barrett rotates over to stop penetration, leading to a kick out to the corner. Considering how Payton had to get around the screen, this was a pretty good recovery and contest. Another pick and roll and some early help again. In a perfect world, Toppin would be hired to zone up the weak side shooters, but it didn't matter because of Knox's full effort contests and eventually leading to a turnover. The last thing to point out is how they're guarding the pick and roll. We're all well aware of Thibodeau's ice defense that limits threes and shots at the basket. Here Dang plays on the high side to force the ball towards the baseline, in other words, preventing middle penetration. The big sags back, and all they give up is a mid-range pull-up. Thibodeau has adapted to the modern game. Preventing middle penetration is nearly impossible nowadays, so that's kept to a minimum. The other change is having the big playing up higher. The perimeter still goes over the screen to prevent a pull-up 3. Noel's higher position will also prevent a mid-range pull-up. This leads to a drive to the rim, but that's where they rely on Noel and Robinson's length contests. Sexton has been on a tear to start the season, so the Knicks are going to show on the screen. On the second screen, Noel uses his length to swipe at the ball. This forces Sexton to retreat, allowing Rivers to get back in position. Noel's swipe sorta gets him out of position, making their early rotations even more important. Combine all this, and you get a contested short floater with 3 defenders in the paint. Thibodeau's changes in defensive coverage is reflected in their opponent's shot chart. The Knicks allow a lot of shots at the rim and beyond the arc, but pretty much preventing shot attempts in the mid-range area. That's the opposite of what Thibodeau has been preaching before, and also what modern NBA teams stray away from, but there is a possible rationale behind this. Most defenses are focusing on preventing threes and shots at the rim. Let's use the Bucks as an example with their sagging schemes. Lopez drops low and relies on the perimeter defender to chase over, then this results in a mid-range pull-up, something they'll live with. This won't be viable in the playoffs, and that's what the Knicks are building towards. Sagging bigs could lead to a pretty good regular season defense, but the Knicks are putting their bigs higher to prevent lethal scorers to hurt them in the mid-range area as well. Here, Payton is going over the screen, but Robinson is pretty high up to prevent a pull-up 3 as well, just in case Payton gets caught up. They'll usually have Robinson or Noel swiping at the ball to add some pressure with their length, but they also have the quickness to stay in front of a roller and verticality to challenge lobs. Once the roller gets in front of him, that's where their early rotations comes in. Anyways, Robinson uses length to block the mid-range jumper. Noel shows on the pick and roll, and it prevented a pull-up 3 and a pull-up mid-range jumper. He also uses length to poke away the ball and stymie this action. Then this gets followed by a defensive blunder, giving up a layup on the back cut. Playing bigs higher leads to more shots at the rim, but the Knicks are relying on their bigs' length to contest, and they're pretty dang good at it. That's why they're only allowing the second lowest field goal percentage in the restricted area. Good scorers will surely still pull up for the mid-range jumper, but these aren't great options with the Knicks centers contesting. This is playoff level defense, since they're preventing shots at all 3 levels. The Knicks defense isn't perfect yet. A strong rebounder could abuse them on the boards because of the early rotations. Young players could miss out on rotations, leading to more open kick-out opportunities, but these will improve in time. The open threes they give up could lead to some slippage later in the season, but even a defense hovering around league average is a stark improvement to what the Knicks did in previous years. What's even better is that Tom Thibodeau has laid down a great foundation and blueprint for the Knicks to improve on in the next few years. Let me know what you guys think of the Knicks season so far, and maybe some things I missed out in this video. Remember to drop a like rating down below, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time.